I have now spent 4 weeks on Zepbound 2.5, my very first 4 weeks on Zepbound, and I'd like to go over it. I'd like to tell you how I prepared, go over week by week, very briefly, talk about my total weight loss and my biggest surprises, what I would do differently, and if I have decided to continue. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca. If you are returning, thank you very much for joining me. And if you'd like to join me on my GLP-1 journey, if you could subscribe, leave a comment, it makes me feel good. I feel like I'm not doing this alone. I very much appreciate it and it helps me out. So let's get into it. I did take notes, as you can tell, I'm looking down. But so I got my prescription for Zepbound in June, mid-June. And it took about a week to get my authorization. I was lucky enough that it is covered under my insurance. So that was really, really good. And during that week, I decided to try to do some things. I had heard about side effects and stuff. I didn't know what to do really. But the one thing I got was Dulcolax. And because everybody talks about constipation, I don't have a problem with constipation like in my regular life. I tend to lean the other direction when things go wrong with my GI tract. But I got the Dulcolax, had nothing like that in the house. Also, I got some ginger tea for nausea. I haven't used it. Also got some pickles. People told me that pickles help sometimes when you're nauseous. I made sure I had Tums in the house, and that was pretty much it as far as medications, that kind of thing. I did buy a scale. I've mentioned before, didn't have a scale in the house. Someone in our family had an eating disorder several years ago, and we had to get rid of all the scales. So I never weighed myself unless I went to a doctor's appointment, and then I weighed myself. So I bought a scale. And if you saw any of my previous videos, you got to see it. It's kind of a nice pink color. I like it. Then for the shots itself, I've never given myself an injection, especially not regularly. Well, at all. So I guess it doesn't really matter. And I have used those little alcohol wipe swabs for different things, and I don't really like them. So I got this, and I got this from Walgreens, and they're wipes, but they're like a full little cloth, and they just rip off. You can tell, just rip it off. And I wipe my belly, and then I use it and I wipe my hand, and then I give myself my injection, and then I just throw that away, and then I don't have the little packets and stuff, and I just feel better, and I feel like I can wipe my whole hands with it, and so it just works out really well for me so far. And then the other thing I got was because I wasn't sure what to do with the spent pens, and I looked on the website for my city under their trash collection, that whole web page that they have, and I looked up how to dispose of things like sharps, and they said all I have to do is get a plastic container that seals and label it not for recycling and make sure it's sealed. And this is what I picked up. I just got it at Fry's, which is our Kroger, and it fits the pens really well. And I don't know what size it is. It's just sort of square, and it's maybe 2 inches deep, and it fits the pens. And in fact, I don't know. I don't think it's too big, and it fits really easily in the cabinet in my bathroom. So that's been working out really, really well for me. The other thing I did is I calculated my TDEE. If you go online, if you haven't started this yet, go online, look for free calculator, TDEE calculator, and it'll tell you, you put in your date, no, not your date, your age, your weight, your height, and if you're sedentary or if you work out a lot, and it will calculate how many calories you need to take in to maintain that weight. And what I did is I figured that out, and then I subtracted 500 to be in a calorie deficit, and that's my goal. My goal happens to be around 1,300 a day because I'm very sedentary. And so that worked for me. And so that's what I'm shooting for each day, to hit about 1,300 calories. Oh, the other thing I did is I downloaded the MyFitnessPal app, and it has been tremendous. It works for me. I really wanted to calculate what I was eating because I don't remember. I haven't done something like this in like 10 years. So I don't remember how many calories is a chicken breast and how much protein does it have. And so I did that, and all of my information was there from 10 years ago, which was kind of funny. And I'm using it, and it worked really, really well. The other app that I downloaded, I didn't do it beforehand, but I'm going to put it here, is called Shotzi. That has really helped me. I think you have to pay I don't know if it's $20 or $30 for the year, but it will show you where you are as far as your dosage. So when you take the shot, it's at the bottom, and then as time goes on, it goes up as it hits your bloodstream, and then it comes down after you hit that half-life, and it starts to come down. And that's been very helpful. I didn't do that before I started, but that's fine. And then I also revived my old Samsung smartwatch because I did want to calculate my steps. I have a new Samsung watch, and I knew that it would run out of battery at some point, and so I've got both of them. One of them's always sitting on the charger, and so I just swap them out. And then as far as food, I ordered my protein shakes. I've got one right now, actually. This is my chocolate. I ordered my protein shakes, and I started those the day that I got my shot. And then I bought, made sure I had salmon and some chicken and some lean meat in the refrigerator. I wasn't sure what I was going to want to eat. And then I got some snacks. I didn't bring them here. Maybe I'll put up a little thing, some edamame and some chickpeas that are like dry roasted. And I figured if I was really nauseous, but I needed to get something in, that would be better than saltine crackers. And I didn't know if I was going to want to snack. And I figured that would be better than, a bag of potato chips. At least that was my theory. So I picked up my box of shots from Walgreens, and I started on June 24th, 2025. And that night I started because I kind of wanted to do it on a Monday or Tuesday because I've got some travel plans coming up. And I thought that would be best for me. So I took it that night, and I did all the things. I think I did it correctly, and I didn't feel it. I just kept my fingers crossed that I had done it right. And sure enough, 24 hours later, it hit me that I wasn't hungry and I had no food noise. And that was amazing to me. Food just became not part of my consciousness. I skipped lunch that first 24 hours, and I have never skipped a meal. Like in my life, I have never skipped a meal. What else? So the end of week 1, I was 2.5 pounds down, and I felt good. The only mild symptom I had was the first couple of days I had some mild nausea, but it was like gone by the time I finished my first shake in the morning, my breakfast shake. The other thing I did have at the very, very beginning was some body aches. Sort of started on my back, like in between my shoulder blades, but that felt like an immune response, not a reaction to the shot. It didn't feel like the shot. So like when you get a flu shot or something like that, you might have some body aches. That's what that felt like. And honestly, that went away, and I never had it again. And I don't think that's very common. So took my second shot also the following Tuesday night. Again, I didn't feel it. But from my experience the week before, since it obviously changed my eating patterns, I knew that it was probably okay. And the end of the second week, I was 3.2 pounds down. Now, it was work those first couple of weeks, really the whole time, to eat up to my calorie deficit. And I don't always make it. Sometimes there's 1,000 calories, and that just is what it is. So that meant that the first 2 weeks I was 5.7 pounds down, and I was ecstatic. Week 3 was completely unremarkable. I did notice a pattern though. By week 3, there was no hunger at all the first 4 days after my shot. Towards the end of the week, if I went too long without having lunch or went too long without having dinner, my body would say it's probably time to eat. But it wasn't the raging hunger I had before Zepbound. It was completely different. It was like a suggestion of hunger. And then around that time, the most remarkable thing happened. I realized my knee pain was gone. And I've been dealing with knee pain for years, and it's been chronic, and it was really bad, and it's slowly gotten better. And I have taken anti-inflammatories like Advil before to try to combat the pain, and it never really went away completely. But 3 weeks on Zepbound, the inflammation, what I call like deep inflammation, was gone. So I was just amazed. Week 4 was also very uneventful, and I was just very purposeful in my eating, but I didn't have to worry about it. But eating became something that I did. It wasn't unpleasant. It wasn't a chore, but it was just something else that I did. Like, I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth. I wake up in the morning, I eat my breakfast shake. I'm driving around, and I've got to fill up gas in my car, and it's the afternoon, I need to start making dinner. It wasn't an obsession, and that is just such a different perspective. If you have been dealing with crazy hunger and crazy food noise, this is a completely different life, at least for me. So I would say that my biggest surprises were primarily the lack of food noise. And I had heard about food noise, but I don't think you realize what it is or how much it controls your life until it's just gone. And the fact that I will get hungry towards the end of the week, but it's not a raging hunger. No matter, even if I've only had 500 or 600 calories earlier, my body's not screaming at me to go down 2,000 calories. It's just an idea that I probably need to eat something. It's a totally different way of life for me, and kind of shocking. As far as, and I just burped, as far as, because I was going to say this, as far as side effects. So I had very mild nausea the first couple of days, maybe 3 days on the very first week, and that's been it. I have noticed I have burped a little bit more. Now, they're not the sulfur burps that people talk about. I haven't had that at all. Just a little bit burpy, like I've swallowed some air, or maybe when you have a soda or something, so something bubbly, so you've got some burps. And I'll admit I've passed a little bit more gas than typical, but again, it hasn't been a lot. It hasn't even been like embarrassing or anything like that. It's just I kind of noticed it, and so nobody said anything to me. Which means my husband hasn't said anything to me. So I don't know if that stuff will get worse when I go up in dose, but we'll find out. Yeah. So the other thing is that I bought those snacks thinking I was going to be really good about them, and the truth is I'm not snacking. I'm eating breakfast, I'm eating lunch, I'm eating a great dinner, and I don't need to snack. I don't need to go raid the pantry at 2 hours after dinner. I don't need to go stand in front of the refrigerator thinking, what can I eat? What do I want to eat? I don't have to eat half a pint of ice cream just so that I can get other stuff done, so I'm not thinking about food anymore. This is just a totally different way of life. So if I had things to do over, I think the only thing I would change, I would get more current blood work. So when I saw my doctor in June, she had previous blood work. It wasn't that old, maybe eight months or so. So it wasn't that old, but I kind of wish I had taken it like the week before I had started. But that's just kind of a side. So if you are thinking about doing this, or if you're just about to do this, I would go ahead and get all your blood work done so you can know where you're starting from and where you end up in 3 months or 6 months or a year later. I think that would be very helpful. The other thing that I wish I had known more about is a DEXA scan. And a DEXA scan is something that can give you a better idea of your ratio of your lean mass to fat mass, and it can also do a pretty good job of telling you how much of your fat is visceral fat and how much of it is just what they call like subcutaneous fat. And they're all bad, right? But that visceral fat is really what needs to go. That's the stuff that's around your organs. It's around your liver, and it can be around your heart, can be around your gallbladder and your pancreas, and it's just really, really, really not good for you. And so I wish I had been able to get one of those before I had started, because it would be interesting to see later on what it looks like. Obviously, the gold standard for something like that is an MRI. And unless you've got a reason to get an MRI, you're not going to do that just to find out your body composition before you do something like this. So if you get the chance to do a DEXA scan before you start this, I think it would be great. It's not necessary though. So you can probably already tell, yes, I am going to continue. My doctor talked to me last week, and we talked about me going up to the 5 milligrams of Zepbound instead of staying on the 2.5. I couldn't decide if I should stay at 2.5 or if I should move up. But in 1 month, I've lost 8.1 pounds. Yay! So I feel really great about that. And I know that there are people who lose 15 pounds or 20 pounds in a month. I wasn't expecting that. And the 8 pounds for me, I feel like is great. I do strongly believe that in a couple of months, that's going to slow down. I may not lose 8 pounds every single month. And I intend to stay on 5, hopefully through the holidays. So hopefully to about January 2026, I will still be getting the benefits from Zepbound and still be able to lose weight. So going forward, I'm going to go up to 5, and I'm going to start incorporating walking into my life and get up my steps. So that's what it is. 2 months. I feel great. Haven't had any horrible side effects that people talk about, and I'm looking forward to continuing this and continuing on my health journey. And I will check in with you again and let you know how I'm doing. Bye.